Hello and welcome to Live Action Rebels, our Ahsoka after show, breaking down, discussing each and every episode of the latest Disney Plus Star Wars live action series. My name's Don White. Joining me this week, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here. Talking about Time to Fly, the third episode.
That's it. You was trying to think of a joke and you couldn't think of one, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Chapter...
Is it a nod to the Foo Fighters? Learn to fly?
Be a dick cut, I guess, if it was. So Time to Fly, episode 3, part 3, chapter 3, whatever we're calling it. Time to Fly, episode 3. About 30 odd minutes. Definitely feels a lot after the double episode premiere. Yeah, it was only like 30, whatever, like 34 minutes. And I mean, the credits are like fucking 5 minutes in these shows, I swear. So, yeah, literally like half hour. Flies past. I definitely felt like after the double episode premiere, it was like, whoa. We've slowed the fuck down, which yes. I'm going to get my feelings on this episode out of the way straight away before I give yours. I thought it was fine. Here's my biggest problem with this episode. If this was an episode of Rebels, of which this is basically a continuation of the show, I wouldn't have so much of a problem because each episode of Rebels has like 16 episodes, right? And you'd get episodes like this. And you're like, it's fine. Like, this is character building, like the training on the ship. It's just like a shootout, like whatever else. Now, we spent 30 minutes in this episode. I go, cool. We're like nearly halfway through the season. I just feel like that again, it's like that 8 hour looming. And I'm like, cool. So we did one episode that was 30 minutes and it was this. Like, and again, I'm saying, like, if this was Rebels or Clone Wars or whatever, I would be like, that's fine. Like, I'd be used to it. I'd be fine. I'm like, cool. So there's 8 episode show. What are we doing? What's the go? And I do have a few other complaints actually with this episode, which I'll get to. My major positives are I really, really enjoyed the shootout, I guess, the actual space combat, TIE fighter combat,
the dogfight.
Like the dogfighting I thought was, and obviously that's the primary part of the episode. I thought that was all done rather well, shot well and everything, paced well and everything. Steph Green directed this episode, so shout out to them for that one. But yeah, I definitely felt like the choice to do this episode 3, that's the majority of it. Nothing much else really happens, apart from a little bit of setup on the side of Hera and whatever else, and a little bit of, again, character building between Ahsoka and Sabine with their training session at the start of the episode. I was like, okay, interesting. Like, that's how we want to use half hour. Sure. What do you think of this week's episode?
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of a fine episode. Obviously, we spend a large portion of this episode training Sabine and going, hey, she's a shit Jedi. And then, yeah. If you were to look at it on a whole, it doesn't progress the plot very far. But again, it's just a character building episode. We do get some other characters that I'm sure people would be happy with and showing up and that kind of stuff. But, again, not a massive plot moving episode.
Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, there's like 3 sections. It's like training, dogfight, Hera stuff.
Yes.
I feel like that's like the 3 sort of ways the episode
3 acts.
3 acts. And they're sort of intermingled in that last 2. But yes, the 3 main acts of this episode. Mm-hmm. Training stuff I thought was fine. I definitely feel like, so the whole thing of like, you can make Sabine, I guess, if you want to like go down, because you could make her like a I'm one with the force is with me, fucking like, yeah, you could have her be like learn to be attuned with the force without technically being a Jedi or anything crazy like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can go down that road. I'm so glad there was that second where the shot hung on the cup or whatever, and I was like, please don't.
Please don't move it.
Don't move. Don't make this stupid. Oh, she didn't notice, but she moved it. I was like, it's not fucking magic. Like,
you're saying Brim Boy.
Yeah. I was like, what are we doing over here? Fucking shout out to Brim Boy. Bring him back. You know what I mean?
You bring him back. Where's his series? I did love the line, you win this round.
I mean, and the like her, like I'm enjoying Sabine doing it and the training, and like I thought the moment with her, like actually like with the Luke Skywalker type visor on, and all that sort of stuff was cool and everything like that. But it was whatever. I think the highlight of this episode though, Q Yang.
Yep. He's currently my favorite character. He's just beautifully blunt about everything.
Yep.
And I can appreciate that.
Yeah. It's like, would you reckon I'll be a Jedi? No, you're the worst Jedi I've ever.
Yeah. Even him just looking at the sword slices.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's not good.
And I feel like, it's so funny getting to see, because as I said, like David Tennant did the voice in Clone Wars, but getting to him this version here and getting to see him be more like interactive with characters like this, like with Sabine and stuff, just like David Tennant's like the perfect person to do this sort of just like dry delivery of a lot of these lines and stuff, I think. So it really works quite well. When we get into the other thing that annoyed me, and I'll pair this with something else I come to with Hera as well. When they get into the actual dogfighting, this show, I think is, and I assume it will struggle for the rest of its time, and this is probably going to come up again and again, but there's going to have these moments where I'm like, okay, so we did that because you're trying to play towards people who've never seen Rebels. But I'm like, but why? Because what happens is they have Sabine go in, and the way they have her shooting and the way they have Hera talking to her, it makes it like she's a she's a gun, Like, and I'm also like, I don't even know if that should matter, that if people haven't seen Rebels for that, because you literally have a scene in like the first or second episode where old mate the Lothal whatever mayor or whatever the fuck his name is, I can't remember, where he's like, it's like Clancy Brown's like, fucking war hero commander, Sabine. She's fucking, look, you don't even need to have watched Rebels. They give you enough backstory. They're like, she's done shit, right? She's good. She can handle herself. And then in this, there's just the way the shooting where it was like, oh man, she's never shot it. Like, and I know it's trying to play into this, like it's the first time some audience have seen her behind a gun. But I'm like, she's fucking shot 1 million guns out of ships in.
Yeah, but Ahsoka deleted all the presets.
It's just so, it's frustrating.
You just feel, so your problem is you feel like they've what's the word?
They've like fucking
nerfed.
Yeah, they've nerfed her. Yeah, sure. They've nerfed her for the. I think they've over nerfed her. I feel like they're nerfing her here to try and allow for new audiences. But I'm like, I don't feel like you needed to, because you already done your legwork of setting up in a prior episode and explaining that she was a war hero. So I'm like, should you not just trust the audience to understand that she was a war hero? And when she kicks ass, it's not because she's a fucking Mary Sue. It's because she's a fucking war hero. Like. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's not how female characters doing stuff works.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's the same as the other part that frustrated me. In similar vein, skipping over to the Hera stuff, she has and again, I understand that a lot of this is just me as a Rebels fan, but it is also me. I'm trying to view these as, okay, I'm frustrated. I'm not getting what I need as a long-term fan of these characters at these points, but I also feel like because you're trying to placate to two different audience types, that you're sort of not doing a good job at either, is my problem. Because I feel like that's what they've done with this shooting scene here. I'm like, I don't feel like that was good for her character at all. And you've done it for Sabine to try and nerf her for the new audience. And then when it goes to Hera, and this moment where she's talking about, like, oh, I lost so many people in the war, friends and family. I'm like, Kanan? Are we not allowed to say Kanan? Like, you literally, and again, like, I'm going to say the big word now because I talked about it fucking last episode we talked about it. They bring in Jason finally, right? Her kid.
Yep.
Her kid who she has with Kanan. Now, her kid says, oh man, I would love to be a Jedi one day. Like Kanan? Your dad? Kanan? You want to be like your dad?
Subtlety, Dylan. Subtlety. God.
No, and then Hera's like, yeah, I lost people in the war too, friends and family. I'm like,
yeah, family.
Like the father of your child?
Subtlety.
I just feel like, again, I feel like this is a writing thing. And you know how we talked about with Andor, how much faith it sort of put in its audience sometimes? And for so much, like, well done. This show's never going to be anywhere near as good as Andor. And I know that, and I accepted that coming into it. Like, I never expected Ahsoka to be anywhere on the level of Andor. I just feel like, I'm like, from a character perspective, if you're like, and I feel like the amount of times I listen to like really good writers, I think one of my favorite things I ever heard Vince Gilligan say on one of his podcasts, either for Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul or something, was like the amount of times like you'd step back and you'd be writing dialogue and be like, well, they wouldn't actually say that. That's just me, like
needing to say something.
Yeah, and then like having to like step back and just actually think, what would the character actually say, even if it's like means I have to completely change the way I write this scene or something. Yeah. What would the character actually say? Like in a, like real like, and I feel like it's that thing of like, if Ahsoka was if Hera was speaking about people she misses from the war, I know that she could be like, yeah, I miss lots of people, and not a day goes past where I don't miss Kanan. Like she would say that.
She would say that in a meeting with a bunch of senators, an official meeting.
With Mon Mothma, she would.
Yeah, privately.
I mean, they were talking at the start. I don't know if
they were, like, but like, you know, those senators butted in. I thought this was a great scene.
When a child goes, I can't wait to be I would love to be a Jedi. Not just go, oh, wouldn't you little fucker? Wouldn't you little fucking Jason? Wouldn't you?
You don't think that hit her in the heart? Like, you know, she wants to be, you know, got her a little bit emotional, you know? He wants to be just like his dad and doesn't even realize.
It felt like the writing was purposely avoiding the word Kanan because no one watching this show has any fucking clue who Kanan is.
Dylan, did you just desperately want Mary Elizabeth Winstead to say the word Kanan? Is that what this is all about?
No, I just feel.
Just say it once.
I just feel like
when do you think when's she going to say Kanan in this show?
I don't know. When he is,
I mean, nobody said his name, right?
A stupid fucking flashback and Freddie Prinze Jr. turns up or something. I don't know. Fucking hell. I don't know. I just feel like
you'd be upset if Freddie Prinze Jr. showed up as Kanan?
Yeah, I think that would be a terrible decision. It would be a terrible decision. I do think like the show's like, hey, we're gonna be like the fucking 5th season of Rebels, and also we're gonna pretend no one's ever heard of those other 4 seasons. Like, let's.
I don't take it that way. I just, you know, you don't need to specifically set it out. Like, again, subtlety, and also everybody who's watched Rebels knows exactly who that she's mentioning and referring to.
It just feels weird. I'm like, well, just say it. Just say Kanan. Like, I lost a lot of people.
Say his name.
I lost a lot of people too. Wink, wink, Mon Moth. Hey, Mon Moth. Remember when we fucking saved your ass several times over seasons 2 to 3? You fuck. when we saved you? When we saved you in Lothal? With Kanan? Before I had this fuck? His son?
Jesus Christ. Maybe we need to rename this podcast to say his name.
Fucking hell. I didn't like that scene, by the way. I know you just said you liked it. You liked it?
I liked it, yeah. Obviously, you know, it's the senators are all shitty because they should have just given her what she wants because she's the war hero and a general and knows what she's talking about. And we obviously know she's in the right. But I think, you know, it again progresses the idea of the New Republic really not being on steady footing. Like, they're like, Imperial, we have Imperial people at every form of government. We have them in every level of everything. And they pledge loyalty to us. So, you know, they've all got to be, you know, on board, right? They've all got to be loyal to us. It's just how it works. Just the naivety being shown by a lot of people, or like the manipulation that is possibly done by some of these people, is like obviously what leads to the First Order eventually coming back. So, while it's for our heroes, it's not a good scene. I thought like progressing this era of Star Wars, I thought it was an interesting scene. And also, I just love the Hera's line, like calling out the senator. What was it? Where were you ever in the war, Senator? Just sat back and waited to see who came out on top.
Yes. Now I can't remember who she said that to, but was it the dude next? Oh fuck! I would have to go back. So there's one of the senators there. Is shout out to this fuckhead because he's actually no, I've got a picture here. I think it was the one on the right of
the right of my monitor.
Yeah, so that fuckhead, right? He's actually, I'm pretty sure, a First Order sympathizer. So he's a character from Resistance, the animated show.
Oh.
So he's the father of I can't actually remember the character's name. Anyway, the father of one of the kids from the Resistance animated series, and the main character or whatever his name is, and it's pretty heavily implied that either A, he's a First Order sympathizer, or he was very happy to jump ship to another to being the first. Like he didn't really give a fuck. Like it's like either he was a First Order sympathizer, or he was very happy just to whoever won. I didn't really, he's like I don't care as long as I get paid, bitch, sort of thing. So that fuckhead, yeah, that makes sense.
I want to say Ziono.
Yeah, his last name's Ziono. Yeah. Hamato or whatever. Yeah, so that's the other shout out there. Now, let's one last other thing for this episode, I guess. Purgils, space whales, show up. Ash is going to give me shit because I had to look up what the fuck they were called because I was just going to call them space whales. It's fine. I'll admit,
it's fine.
Before recording,
I was surprised they're not called space whales.
Yeah, I know. I just prefer them with space whales. They're like, hey, remember those things, space whales? So again, I got to be honest. So space whales, purgils become obviously heavily prominent in the finale of Rebels. They are the things that happen to come down. They're called down to basically attack the ship that Thrawn and Ezra
They kidnap Thrawn and Ezra.
Pretty much. Like, so space whales can jump in hyperspace. They can hyperspace travel, but they can also hyperspace travel in a way that the technology that people use to hyperspace cannot, which means that the hyperspace wherever they were taken could have been outside the charted regions of space is basically how it works. And that's the problem. It's like Ezra and Thrawn weren't ever technically killed. They were just taken
to uncharted space.
Somewhere when we don't know. So far in the first 3 episodes of this show, it's this whole the bad guys are building a massive hyperspace ring, as we see in this episode, with 5 massive hyperspace 6 hyperspace generators as part of it, so they can go to where they believe Thrawn and I guess Ezra will be is how we're going. Now we see space whales. Purgils, I really, really thought that if we saw space whales in live action, they would look terrible. I thought they looked cool.
Yeah. I mean, they got the like squiddy arms, which was a bit odd, but yeah.
That was the part I was worried about because, obviously in animation form, I was like, they look really weird with their little octopus back ends.
Tendrils,
and shit like that. So, tendrils and stuff. But I thought they looked pretty cool in live action.
Yeah, they looked good. You could tell what they were straight away. And, they didn't do much other than float around, but got the impact and their importance at this location. I feel like is because I've seen people theorizing like they've got some sort of like migration path, and clearly wherever they're going to jump to next is where Thrawn and Ezra are. So that's why they're setting up here.
Yeah, and I mean this is definitely getting into the like some of the animal stuff, I guess, that Filoni did in his animated Star Wars stuff has always been some of the weirdest stuff, and people are like the wolves and the space whales and whatever else. So none of that would surprise me if they had like a migration thing. They are like they're smart. They're not like dumb beasts just traveling around doing nothing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we did see. I think we saw them. I can't remember if it was Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian. There was like one episode where they were seen. I can't remember. Do you remember this? I think I mentioned it briefly. There was one episode where they did like a hyperspace, like they were in hyperspace, and Grogu was like,
yes, I want to say,
I don't know if it was Book of Boba Fett.
Was it Mandalorian? Yeah, it was definitely the Mandalorian. Yeah. I think it was this season that just happened.
Yeah, that would make sense, I guess. But we didn't actually see them. They were just like shadows outside of like in the hyperspace tunnel or whatever. So yeah. Yeah, no, really cool. I enjoyed seeing them. I really thought that space whales in real life would look really fucking weird and not work, but they somehow work. I'll take it. It worked for me. So they crash land. Well, they don't crash land. They're Ahsoka and Sabine in the episode. They're hiding out on the planet, and you've got old mate sending his people to find them. There's a lot of theories about who's going to be under that helmet of that First Order
Marok dude
person or whatever. Marok, yep. So I don't know.
Have you seen the Crazy series?
No. What's the Crazy series?
Crazy series. That's Ezra.
That would be a wild.
Wild choice to bring them all in live action, and your main dude is the bad guy now.
Yeah, that'd be weird because it'd be like, well, how did he? I don't.
But everybody's kind of assuming it's somebody because his voice is so modulated.
Yeah, and it says it's voiced by Sam Witwer, which doesn't mean anything. But
it's Darth Maul's son. Done. It's double bladed.
True. But they all are, to be fair.
That's true.
I can't remember the character's name, but I know everyone wants it to be. For ages, anytime Ahsoka's shown up somewhere, there was this character in the Clone Wars. I think her name starts at B. I'm a bad fan. But she had like a falling out with her, and she like turned to the dark side, but they never explained what happened to that character after the like Clone Wars and stuff like that. So people always, anytime a random character is shown back up in Rebels or anything else like past Clone Wars, have always been like, that'll be her. That'll be her. But she'll never show back up. So maybe her. I don't know. But that would be a deep pull for like Clone Wars fans. So I don't know. Yeah, but I'm hoping I'm for a little bit more meat on the bone next week, is all I'm gonna say. Again. I'm like 8 episodes. Just we're fucking. I don't have time for these. This like yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. They're going to that forest, and we saw that forest in that trailer. So they're definitely going to find that forest, and then we assume they're going to make the jump. I think they make the jump next episode. Yeah.
Fucking like yeah. We gotta make the jump shortly.
Yep.
Where to get going? We know Thrawn's in the show. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
Like, let's get going, people. We know
you're making a movie called Heir to the Empire.
Yeah. Let's fucking. What are we doing here? Fucking spend all season trying to build up to this. What are we doing? All right. That'll do it for this week's episode of fucking what do we call it again?
Say his name. No, it's live action Rebels.
Live action Rebels. But we should have called it Say His Name. Right. Why don't we call it Say His Name? Oh, that's right, because we only thought that this week.
That can be the outro now. Until next week. Say his name.
Oh, I'll make it the outro now. It's fine. We'll cut all this out. Actually, why not? I can't be bothered. Thank you for joining this week on another episode of Live Action Rebels. Of course, our Ahsoka after show breakdown discussion here on the Holocron Entries podcast feed. We'll be here again next week talking about the episode, hopefully on time. It wasn't up this week on time because I was sick. That's why the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. But hopefully up a little bit earlier for this coming week's episode, which I'm hoping will be a little bit longer, a little bit more meat on the bone, as I said. And until next week, say his name.